moment when we're going to. Thank you. Thank you. So we're recording tonight so that you can watch the presentation at a later date. Another way that you can participate, if you would like to, you can press the transcription button down below that provides a closed captioning. So you can go ahead and choose that if that's something that will help you participate. Next slide, please. All right, and next I'd like to welcome Council members Soto-Martinez as well as Councilmember Raman to say a few words. So Councilmember Soto-Martinez, the floor is yours.
Hey everyone, good evening. Thank you so much, Pamela. I'll speak a little slower to allow the translation to catch up. First of all, I want to say that I'm really excited to be here, and I want to thank a lot of the orgs that do so much amazing work in the city that have really moved the conversation on this issue, such as Streets for All, LA Walks, Bike LA, Finish the Ride, Act LA, and so many more other organizations. Now, this is a project that brought a lot of folks together for the first time. So first, I want to thank my Transportation and Infrastructure Deputy, Rogelio Pardo, who's here today, and the LADOT Vision Zero team that have really dug deep to bring this to you today. I know the city can oftentimes move very slow, but today is exciting because we're going to show folks something that I think is pretty amazing. Now, if you're like me, you probably walk and bike, and in my cases, sometimes I skateboard across the city. You know how dangerous the streets can be. We see that cars are prioritized over people. We see a city that created a mobility plan many years ago to address a lot of the transportation issues, but so far we've only implemented 5% of that plan. And I can go on and on and on and on. And so because of that sort of lack of action, we put a lot of urgency into this work because we know people are literally dying every single day. We still have a lot of community engagement to do on this project, but there are some tweaks to be made. But what we're going to see today, I think, is pretty visionary, and it's pretty, and I think it'll be really good for the whole community. Now, I want to talk about why this is important, and it's because of safety. Right? We know the Hollywood Boulevard is an extremely dangerous corridor. LADOT is going to give the stats on this later, but it's very clear that we need to do something to make this street safer. Folks probably heard this, but last year, traffic violence killed more people in the city of Los Angeles than homicides. And about half of those people that were killed were pedestrians. And since our district has 0 protected bike lanes on any part of the street, a lot of the folks that were killed were also cyclists. And so this project is about making Hollywood safer and transforming how residents, workers, and visitors use this iconic street. And we're looking forward to supporting the Department of Transportation's great work and making sure that that happens, because this is the department that executes that. Now, oftentimes, these projects that get considered, there's always a feeling that people were not involved in the process, the community was left out. And that's something that we wanted to make sure that did not happen here. And so I'm very happy to report that DOT is doing an amazing job doing outreach. And I think this will go down as one of the projects that has the most community input. I actually want to know that for sure, because I think from what I've heard, we might be #1. So I want to thank all the folks that are on here from DOT, the whole team that worked on this, because especially the community engagement team, because they really did an amazing job. We know that we got over 2,000 surveys responded to. They sent out over 20,000 mailers to the neighboring community. They contacted over 200 businesses. They did the outreach in 4 different languages. And they're going to go into more details about all the work they did, but they did a phenomenal job. And even here today, we have over 100 people attending in multiple languages. Now, because of this outreach, we know that we can deliver a safe street while also benefiting the business community. And so today we're going to talk about not only safety, but how we bring more people to spend their time in Hollywood. We know that if we make it more walkable, more bikeable, people will come there, they will eat, they will shop there, it will connect communities. And if people go there, they're going to spend their money there. And that's always good for businesses. In other words, we're going to make it more accessible. And I think that's a good thing. Now, we know that transportation improvements aren't all that Hollywood needs. If you talk to the business community as much as I do, homelessness continues to be the #1 issue, and we're working hard to lead on that. But today we're going to focus on the transportation work that we've done to also make it more livable and more beautiful. So in our view, with minimal traffic and parking disruptions and a lot of financial safety and quality of life benefits, we think this will be a win-win for the Hollywood community. Again, LADOT will explain more in detail, and there's a wonderful presentation, but this is expected to cause, and we hope this can transform how residents and visitors are able to spend time in Hollywood. In conclusion, I do want to give my deepest gratitude and appreciation for LADOT on this work. Electeds are just 15 people in the city, but the folks that make the city work and function lives in the departments, and they should be uplifted for the work that they do. And the last thing I would say, I want to also thank my amazing colleague and really good friend who is here today, who in 3 short years since she got elected has moved the needle on many progressive issues. And so I'd like to bring forward Councilmember Nithya Raman. Thank you for your partnership on this project, and allow her the space to give a few words. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hugo, for grounding us in the work that DOT has already done. And thank you for sharing the welcoming duties with me, my friend. I want to thank everyone for coming here tonight. I know Councilmember Soto-Martinez has already covered a lot of the context for this effort. And I want to thank all of the participants who are here tonight. I see some familiar Council District 4 constituent names in the crowd. And I know that we've already gotten a lot of responses on our survey. So thank you to everyone who's already commented. If you are also here tonight, we are here because this corridor is a dangerous one. Between 2010 and 2019, there were 53 severe injury and fatal collisions in just this project area. And that doesn't even cover all of the other minor injuries, less severe crashes. To me, it's unconscionable that we have that many crashes on Hollywood Boulevard east of Gower. Outrageously, we also do not have a separated or even a painted bike facility for east-west travel in central LA. That inhibits the ability of Angelenos to travel safely by bike from Hollywood to Los Feliz. And what about folks who would bike, but really, really want a higher level of protection to do so? They just don't have options. For Council District 4, this project is really meaningful to us because it abuts the project area directly on one of the key spines of our Los Feliz commercial corridors and business improvement districts. And so we are really excited for the alignment and concept that LADOT is going to present to you. We know that enhancing the safety of Hollywood Boulevard is going to help all of our businesses thrive. And we know that because we saw that happen on York Avenue in Highland Park. We can see how that benefits areas like Larchmont that have significantly calmer streets. And we're excited for new enhancements to our pedestrian crosswalks at places like Rodney and Lyman, which have already been such a boon to residents and customers of those commercial enterprises alike. We are excited for so many components of this plan, and I think you're going to be as well. And I'm really, really grateful for all of you being here and providing your feedback. And I want to thank from the bottom of my heart and for our entire staff in Council District 4, I want to thank LADOT for setting up this virtual town hall and for working so diligently on moving this really important project forward. So thank you all. I hope you have a great session today, and I'm looking forward to hearing all of your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, council members, for your welcoming remarks. We really appreciate you being here tonight as well. All right, now I'd like to go over the agenda for this evening. So the project team that's been working on the Hollywood Boulevard project will go over a lot of the community engagement strategies that we've performed on the street in advance of this project, including the community survey results, as well as the business survey results. We will also go over conceptual designs that we're proposing for Hollywood Boulevard, and we'll go over next steps on how to stay engaged and what's coming up for the project. Lastly, we'll have a Q&A session. We'll have about 25 minutes of Q&A. As you can see, we're answering questions live in the chat or in the Q&A box now. So please type in your questions as they pop up. And we'll answer some questions live at that time. And then we'll reserve about an hour for public comment at the very end, and we'll try to get to as many speakers as possible. So that's the agenda for tonight. I'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Max Podemski, who's part of the project team, and he will be going over the meeting objectives. Thanks, Max.
Great. Thank you, Pamela. Hi, everyone. My name is Max Podemski. I am a transportation planner with LADOT. We have 5 main objectives for tonight. So the first is to answer the question, why Hollywood and why are we doing this project? We're going to introduce a proposed conceptual design for the street. We're going to give some background on the outreach we've done and some of the responses we've heard. We're going to answer any questions you have, and also collect feedback on the proposed design or any other priorities you might have for Hollywood Boulevard. But first, we have some questions to learn a little bit more about who's in the room. So a screen should pop up that will have some multi-choice questions. You can answer all that apply. And we have 2 questions. One is, how would you describe your relationship to Hollywood Boulevard? Why are you in this meeting? Why are you interested in Hollywood? The second is, what is your preferred way of getting around your neighborhood? So we're just going to take a little bit of time for people to answer those. And should we take a look at our answers? Okay, so how would you describe your relationship? Lots of you live there, a little more than half. Many of you also work there. And a lot of you go there to shop or eat at local businesses, to play or recreate, are commuting. And in terms of how people get around, a lot of you walk. We have about 77%. Many people also bike, use the bus. About half of you drive, and half take the subway. So a lot of different reasons for going to Hollywood, and also people use a lot of different travel modes along the street. So this is our project area. In 2019, Hollywood Boulevard from Fairfax over to Lyman was designated one of our priority corridors. For this project, we are focusing on the section of Hollywood between Gower Street over to Hillhurst, and then Sunset Boulevard from Hillhurst down to Fountain. This is separate from the Walk of Fame project, which some of you may be familiar with. That's looking at Gower to La Brea. We chose to focus on the eastern section of the street because there's lots of safety issues, and there hasn't been a lot of outreach done. And the section between La Brea and Fairfax, we decided not to include in order to maintain travel lanes for bus service. But this project area will connect with that Walk of Fame portion, and also will connect to existing bike lanes on Sunset Boulevard to the east. So as I mentioned, Hollywood Boulevard was designated one of our priority corridors in 2019. And beginning that year, we started installing initial safety improvements. This project began in August of 2023. And since then, we've been out in the community performing outreach, which has culminated in tonight's town hall, where we're going to show a conceptual design for the street. And then moving forward, we are going to continue to collect feedback on this conceptual design And in the summer, our goal is to share a final design and then prepare the community for implementation. So the reason we're focusing on Hollywood and focusing on this project is because there's been a high rate of people being killed or severely injured from traffic crashes. About 56 people killed or severely injured between 2010 and 2019. And as many of you know, Hollywood is a very dense and congested street. There's lots of pedestrians, there's lots of cyclists, there's lots of transit riders, and there's also lots of vehicles, and many of these vehicles are going at high rates of speed. So between Normandy and Kingsley, about 30% of cars are exceeding the speed limit. And that combination, really results in a high degree of people getting killed or severely injured, and about 60% of those killed or severely injured between 2010 and 2019 were either walking or biking. And as I mentioned, we have installed some initial safety improvements on Hollywood. So this includes continental crosswalks, left turn calming treatments, and we also installed 3 rapid flashing beacons at several intersections. These are flashing yellow lights that help pedestrians cross the street. And we have some upcoming improvements coming later this year or early next year, which actually involve upgrading those rapid flashing beacons to hawk signals. So instead of a flashing yellow light, there will be a red light that will flash. So we have 5 main project goals for this initiative. First and foremost, we want to improve traffic safety and reduce fatalities and severe injuries caused by car crashes. We also want to enhance connectivity to jobs, social services, and transit. We want to support sustainable modes of transportation, such as biking and walking, increase access to the Metro B line stations that are along the corridor, and also complement that future redesign of Hollywood Walk of Fame and create a cohesive corridor all along Hollywood Boulevard. So Hollywood Boulevard is extremely diverse, and to engage all of the different constituencies along it, we used a multi-pronged outreach strategy. So this involves sending mailers to 20,000 homes and businesses within a quarter mile of the corridor. So every home and business near the corridor received a mailer. We launched a social media campaign that had 60,000 unique views. And we also created an email list with 2,000 addresses that we sent information about the project to. We also posted informational posters about the project along the corridor and in Central Hollywood in English, Spanish, Thai, and Armenian. And all of this marketing directed people to our website where they could learn more about the project, and also to fill out a survey to give us information about how they currently use Hollywood and safety issues. And we ended up receiving nearly 2,000 responses to this survey, which is one of the largest amounts for any LADOT project so far. We also did lots of in-person events using our street team, and we actually have members of our street team in the audience. These are pictures of them. And during one of these in-person events was community briefings, where we presented to important organizations like the neighborhood councils, as well as hospitals, and gave them information about the project and received feedback from them. We also used our street team to do pop-up events along the corridor at important intersections, and also at important community events where they provided information about the project, guided people to our survey, and also got initial feedback on how people use the street and different safety improvements. We also did a walk audit in partnership with the East Hollywood Neighborhood Council. And this involved people walking up the street and giving specific feedback on places they feel unsafe, important community destinations, and also places where they would like to see improvements. And we did a separate event that was similar to the walk audit, but we had people bike up and down the corridor and give feedback. And we know that Hollywood has many businesses along it, many small mom and pop businesses. And so we developed a separate outreach strategy specifically to target the business community. And that included canvassing 201 businesses along the corridor and also developing a separate survey specifically for businesses. So now we're going to go through and summarize some of what we heard during our outreach. So this is some demographic information about people who filled out the survey. One of the questions we asked was for people to list the closest major intersection that they live near. And as you can see on this heat map below, the vast majority of survey respondents lived very near the project area, and many actually lived right near Hollywood Boulevard. We also asked people how they currently get around on Hollywood Boulevard. And similar to the survey we did tonight, people use lots of different modes. So people were able to mark every type of mode that they used. The most popular was walking, so similar to tonight. The third most popular was using the train or subway, and fourth most popular was biking, and driving came in second. We also asked people about safety issues along Hollywood Boulevard. And about 90% of respondents said that improving safety on Hollywood is very important to them. One of the main reasons they cited for Hollywood being unsafe is the high rate of speed that vehicles travel along the corridor. And 60% also said that a lack of bike facilities make them feel unsafe. We also had a portion of the survey where people could just write in general comments or feedback about safety. As you can see, we received lots of comments with people requesting protected bike lanes and people citing, the high speeds of vehicles along the street. These are some other representative comments that we heard. People cited scooters, either riding on the sidewalk or blocking the sidewalk and creating a hazard. People also brought up homeless encampments and street vendors, which is not an issue that we are going to address as part of this project. And this comment in the middle sort of summarizes a popular sentiment we heard, which is, Hollywood is already a really great destination. There's so many great stores, restaurants, community facilities, and that improving safety could really enhance it as sort of a centerpiece of LA and make it, an even more special destination for people. So now we're going to go through some of our results from our business survey. So we asked businesses how their customers currently access the business, and they could mark, all that multiple answers. So as you can see, 95% said that customers access their business by driving, but about half also said walking. And about 60% said that their customers rely on on-street parking on Hollywood Boulevard. We also asked business owners about safety. 70% said that improving safety on Hollywood is important to them. Again, speeding came up as one of the main issues of why Hollywood is unsafe. And nearly half of businesses said that they've observed crashes on Hollywood. And again, we had a section on the business survey where we allowed businesses just to write in general feedback on safety along Hollywood. These are some representative quotes. Again, homelessness came up as an issue, which is not something we are dealing with as part of this project. But we also heard a lot of feedback on needing enhanced pedestrian crossings and more pedestrian crossings. And many respondents actually listed places where they would like to see enhanced crossings. And you might remember from earlier in the presentation, some of these intersections will get upgrades very soon. So all this feedback we received from our outreach, we have been compiling it and using it to create a conceptual design, which Matt is going to present to you now.
Thank you, Max. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Gertz. I'm a transportation planner here at LADOT on our Vision Zero team. So like Max said, we got a lot of great feedback from all the outreach we've done. So now I'm going to detail the conceptual design that we've developed. So just at the outset, I'm gonna, no, next slide, please. So we'll be upgrading the pedestrian crossings that Max mentioned earlier into those hawk beacons for some extra comfort for pedestrians crossing the street. And based on a lot of the feedback that we heard, we are recommending protected bike lanes that will be next to the curb for Hollywood Boulevard, which would also involve moving the parking lane to the left of the bike lane, and then adding a left turn lane where there currently is none. And this would also involve reducing the number of travel lanes or parking in some situations. And then we'll also be looking at installing additional left turn calming treatments and identifying opportunities to install speed tables on Hollywood. And the picture you can see here is of a similar lane reconfiguration project that we installed on Avalon Boulevard in South LA just a few years ago. So I'm going to go from east to west and kind of describe the existing street design and then talk about our proposed design. So here between Vermont Avenue and Lyman on the eastern section, which is our widest section of Hollywood Boulevard, we have 2 lanes in each direction, 1 center turn lane, and on-street parking. Our project design proposes to add protected bike lanes next to the curb, shift the parking lane to the left of the bike lane with the buffer, and remove 1 vehicle lane in each direction. For our biggest cross section, which is between Van Ness Avenue and Vermont Avenue, there are currently 2 vehicle lanes in each direction with on-street parking on each side. Our proposal would be to remove 1 lane in each direction here, install that center left turn lane, and again, add the protected bike lanes and shift the parking away from the curb. And as we approach the 101 freeway, we have 2 vehicle lanes in each direction with a center turn lane as well, with some parking restrictions. And in order to maintain access to the freeway and just comply with some more complicated on-ramp design, we'll be maintaining those 2 vehicle lanes in each direction, but also using the additional space with the parking restrictions to continue the bike lanes through this area. And last but not least, as we approach Gower Street, we will also be maintaining the 2 vehicle lanes in each direction, but in order to continue the bike lanes through this area, our proposal is to remove the existing on-street parking and install protected bike lanes in this area as well, which would also allow for a connection to the future Hollywood Walk of Fame redesign project. So the benefits of our conceptual design, we've seen that lane reconfigurations like this reduce excessive speeding, and we know that speed kills. So when you get people to drive more slowly, you reduce the risk of people dying or getting severely injured in crashes when they're walking or biking. When we also install this sort of treatment, we reduce the number of travel lanes that people walking need to cross the street and reduce their exposure to traffic. A lot of the time we see pedestrians trying to cross the street on a 4-lane roadway and a car will stop in the lane that's closest to the curb, but unfortunately someone sometimes tries to go around that car and doesn't see the pedestrian, which results in a severe crash. This redesign really cuts down on the likelihood of that type of crash happening. And this design also provides a safe, dedicated space for people on bikes and scooters to ride and really encourages people to switch to riding in the street instead of the sidewalk, which is a benefit for pedestrians as well. And it also provides a dedicated space for drivers to make left turns without stopping through traffic and gives them a little bit more time to think about making a left turn and being more aware of cross traffic and people crossing the street. And we did do a traffic study for this project, and we found that with the removal of the travel lanes in each direction, we would see a maximum of about 2 to 3 minutes of additional vehicle delay per mile. So if you're driving the whole corridor, it's about 2 miles. So that factors into about a 5 to 6 minute addition to the vehicle travel time. And as I mentioned earlier, we are looking at removing all of the on-street parking between Bronson and Gower in order to accommodate the bike lanes in that area. And in addition to that, when we install protected bike lanes, we also need to install additional parking restrictions around driveways and intersections to increase visibility of the bike lane for people coming out of driveways. So this would result in about 1 to 2 spaces per block on each side of the street needing to be removed between Van Ness and Lyman due to this need for visibility. And you can see here an example on a recent project that we installed on Venice Boulevard, where you would have parking restrictions in advance of the driveway and an intersection. And we are also looking at some other improvements. We heard a lot of feedback in our outreach about improving the experience at this intersection of Hollywood, Prospect, and Vermont. So we are looking at ways to streamline the way that people are moving through this intersection using paint and plastic bollards. So ways that we can increase the visibility of people biking and walking and just slowing down turning drivers and bringing a lot of awareness to how people are moving through this area. We'll have some more detailed concepts for this area in the next several weeks, and we'll be doing additional outreach to keep people informed. And we will also be looking at opportunities to install additional left turn calming. And Max referenced this earlier. We were already able to install a left turn calming treatment at Hollywood and Normandy that you can see on the top. We see a lot of benefits from slowing down left turns and making pedestrians more visible. So places that we're looking to install this include Gramercy Place, Alexandria Avenue, and New Hampshire Avenue. So what a left turn calming treatment does is it adds, it's called a hardened center line. It really just makes, it slows down drivers who are making a left turn and makes them more aware of people in the crosswalk. And then we're also looking at installing speed tables around pedestrian crossings to reduce speeding and make people more aware of people crossing the street. And we are still looking at opportunities for what locations might be suitable for speed tables. So that would be our phase 1 between Gower and Lyman, but we also saw an opportunity to improve the experience for all road users approaching the complex intersection of Sunset Boulevard, Sunset Drive, Hillhurst Avenue, Virgil Avenue, and Hollywood Boulevard, as well as connecting to existing bike infrastructure on Sunset Boulevard. So we are studying possibilities to improve the experience for everyone by reconfiguring this complex intersection. And one of the things that we're looking at is limiting access to Sunset Drive. And we're also looking at extending the proposed bike lanes on Hollywood to connect to the existing bike lanes on Sunset to really build additional connections to Silver Lake, Echo Park, and downtown LA. So this concept is just in its early stages, so we will be doing additional outreach to help facilitate our opinions and design choices on this stretch of Hollywood and Sunset. But we are including this as a second phase of this project. And now I will pass this over to my colleague, Lumis.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Lumis Chang. I'm a transportation planner with LADOT working on this project team. So we made it through the presentation. So now what's next? Where do we go from here? Well, over the next couple weeks, we will be continuing to collect feedback on this conceptual design. So we welcome you and encourage you to reach out through all these different ways to continue to send us your ideas after tonight. You can email us at vision0@lacity.org, or you can share your thoughts by going to ladot.lacity.gov/Hollywood. So we will be going through all that feedback, reading every comment, and taking it in and refining the project and the project design over the next couple months. We'll prepare a final design, and then also at the same time, we'll be coordinating with our partner agency, Streets LA, who is responsible for ensuring that the pavement, the roadway pavement is smooth for implementation. So we will be coordinating with Streets LA to schedule street resurfacing in advance of the project implementation. And as we get closer to the implementation period, we will continue to be out there in the community, providing notification about that construction period and any impacts that you should be aware of, and the specific timeline. So you'll be continuing to hear from us over the next several months as we move forward with this project. And at this point, I'm going to transition over to our Q&A segment.
All right, thanks, Lamias. I'd like to invite all the project team back up, and I'd also like to introduce Claire Eberly from our External Affairs Division, who's going to help us walk through some of these questions that our project team is going to answer here. I also want to make note that we are documenting all the questions that we received, and we'll be creating a FAQ document that we will be posting on our project website that will kind of summarize some of the major questions that we've received. So if we don't get to them today, with our limited time, then please look for that FAQ. And as a member who's part of this meeting, you're now on our mailing list, and so you should get notifications when new materials are available. So Claire, if you could ask a question that we've received, that would be great. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Pamela, for the handoff. My name is Claire Eberly. I'm with the Community Engagement and External Affairs team at LADOT. And I'm going to do my best to moderate some Q&A questions. We've been receiving questions throughout the presentation in the Q&A box. We've got quite a few, so we're going to do our best. I'm going to do my best to sort of consolidate similar questions and serve them up to the project team. We've also answered quite a few in writing, or the project team has answered quite a few in writing that hopefully folks can see. You know, we'll continue to share our contact info if we're not able to get to your question this evening. So I wanted to start out with a question or a couple questions we've received about how the team has approached the engagement process and outreach, making sure that everyone's voices in the community were heard, or that we were able to reach folks like commuters that can be more difficult to reach. And most importantly, you know, how can I still make sure my voice is heard as part of this project? There have been a couple folks who have asked, I didn't get to take the survey, or, you know, I feel like there are quite a few loud voices in the room. How can I make sure my voice is heard?
Great, I can take that one. So, you know, as I mentioned, we will continue to do outreach after tonight's meeting and continue to collect feedback on this project. You know, we realize this is a very diverse community, and a lot of people use this thoroughfare. So we're also always looking for new organizations to outreach to and connect with. So if you'd like us to come present at your meeting or do some specific outreach, please feel free to email us at our Vision Zero email address.
Great, thanks, Max. We've also received a number of questions about bike lane design, about the materials used, and then also how the city maintains and keeps bike lanes clear and usable. Can you talk about what materials will be used, a little bit beyond what you went into in the presentation, And then what factors go into the selection of those materials and other design considerations?
Yeah, I can take that one. So yes, we have traditionally been using the plastic bollards in the design of our protected bike lanes. So we don't usually have the budget for concrete barriers in our what we call quick build bike lane projects. So those longer term concrete projects usually go through the Bureau of Street Services or Bureau of Engineering or other city agencies. So we, with what limited budget we have to install our bike lane projects, we are looking at a kind of different way of protecting our bike lane. We're looking at different bollard materials and different barriers that will help delineate the bike lane while at the same time keeping costs down. But in terms of, sorry, what was I think there were two parts to that question, right, Claire?
There were two parts. Design and maintenance is the other part.
Maintenance, yeah.
Design and material specifically, you just answered.
Right. Yes. So yeah. So I think we're looking at ways to perfect our protected bike lane design. So we're hoping that Hollywood can be one of the first for these new materials that we're looking at.
Thanks, Matt. I'll also jump in to add that we love the idea of a concrete protected bike lane. Of course, that's the most protected and it's going to keep everyone the safest. But in order to be able to do these projects quickly, we do have to use the materials we have on hand. But it doesn't preclude us being able to build it out in more permanent materials later. And we have been and are going to be doing that on several other projects throughout the city over the coming years. And that is most often a result of a successful grant application and of course, partnering with other agencies. So I think it's definitely still something that we all will be thinking about even as this project goes into implementation, is that a project is never completely done. You know, sometimes we consider this like a pilot phase, you know, the quick build is just phase one. If there's interest in making it with permanent materials, we can continue to talk about that.
Great. Thanks, Lamise. That's great to hear. Next question. How does this project or this proposal build on connectivity for bikes in the area? So how does it contribute to the network? What will it connect, or what are potential future connections in the works?
I think, Matt, were you going to jump in there?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, as Councilmember Raman stated earlier, there is no real protected bike facility in this central area of the city. So we're really excited to be able to pitch this idea to the public. And like I mentioned earlier, we're also looking at connecting this project to the existing bike lanes on Sunset Boulevard to create a really continuous network from downtown all the way into Hollywood. And additionally, I mentioned as well that we would connect this to Gower. Since our bike lane ends at Gower, there is the future Walk of Fame project that also has proposed bike infrastructure continuing throughout the Walk of Fame area.
Great. Thanks, Matt. We've been receiving some questions about the sort of balance of different users and balancing vehicle traffic on the street. Can you dive into a little bit more detail on the anticipated traffic changes or potential impacts as part of this process? Matt, you shared in the presentation some information about the study that LADOT did, but can you talk a little bit more about what the study considered and what community members might expect when the project goes in?
Yeah, so a lot of factors went into consideration for this project. So we first took into account all of the anticipated growth through any development project that's going to happen in the next couple of years. We also considered the fact that maybe some people will choose not to drive on Hollywood if their main destination isn't on Hollywood. But we found that actually only about 20% of people would probably take trips on other streets. So most people are going to stay on Hollywood because that's where they're going and that's where they want to be. So we're trying to balance that need of people using Hollywood as a destination when they're driving, but we're also trying to make it safer for the people who don't have a car to get through the area. So we have schools along the corridor, we have shops and restaurants and parks. So we're really just trying to make it a lot safer for people who are using any mode of transportation to get through the area and to the destination that they're trying to get to. And what we're also going to do is we do a evaluation on projects like this to kind of see how things are doing after about a year or so after the project is installed, to see if things are working the way that we're intending them to. And we can see what kind of tweaks we can make to the design or any additional changes to kind of adjacent streets if we need to look at speed humps or quick build diverters or quick build traffic circles on residential streets to help calm traffic on other streets. So we're taking a wholesale look, not just at Hollywood, but at the area as well.
Great, thanks, Matt. Another question about impacts and trade-offs of the project. You shared information about parking changes that community members can anticipate. Can you talk more about sort of what those impacts are going to be, and then what strategies LADOT might use to work with businesses in particular or others that depend on the different types of curbside uses on the street? Parking and passenger and commercial loading.
Mm-hmm. I could jump in here and speak about parking. So as Matt indicated in his presentation, as part of the project design, you can anticipate that there will be changes to curbside parking. We don't have an exact number right now because the project is not fully designed, but our approximate estimate is about 1 to 2 spaces per block. So as we formalize the design more and understand where are those spaces, how many exactly are we talking about, we will continue to do outreach with businesses and inform people about parking loss. So you can definitely expect, if you're a business owner or you frequent these locations, and you will have that information, and we'll be able to work with you. So as Claire mentioned, parking, or it's parking, but it's also commercial loading and passenger loading. Having that kind of access is really critical for businesses, and we acknowledge that. So we can continue to work with folks as we have more information about where those changes are going to be. And see how we could continue to accommodate loading needs. If you have a yellow loading zone in front of you right now, maybe we can relocate it a bit so it's still close by and serve you. Maybe we can make adjustments to the side streets. If your business is close to a cross street and there's parking there, sometimes we're able to add a few parking meters there to make it more a higher turnover, as opposed to a space where somebody might park all day and night there, and allow it to serve businesses on Hollywood Boulevard. So there are strategies that we have at our disposal as LADOT to allow us to continue to accommodate curbside parking and ensure people have sufficient access. And as always, you can reach out to us directly, before the project goes in, after the project goes in. If there are any concerns about parking in front of you, then you can always reach out to us with specifics and we can work with you directly.
I also wanted to chime in on, there's some questions about bus service on Hollywood Boulevard, and I just wanted to make note that we've been working really closely with Metro. We've shared these designs with them, and we've been working very closely with their bus operations and planning teams to ensure that what our design is proposing is not infringing on the operations beyond what Metro feels comfortable with. So we'll be looking at bus stops and, seeing how the timing of that, as well as like the operations of the bus, that it doesn't drag down the service there. We know there's a lot of bus lines in the area. Their main concern is delivering bus ready, very good bus service to the Hollywood stations at Hollywood and Highland at the core of their light rail service. So that's definitely top of mind for them. And they also have other bus priority projects in the area that they're considering. So we've been working really closely. I think that it's an iterative process as we go to final design, and we'll be bringing Metro along for that ride.
Thanks, Pamela, for chiming in with that. I think we are out of time for questions. I hope we got to some of the most burning questions that folks have. Those were definitely the most frequently asked in our Q&A box tonight. As mentioned, you can continue to reach the team if you have questions that haven't been answered. And with that, I will pass it back to Pamela.
Thank you, Claire. All right, next slide, please. Now we're going to enter in public comment. And I just wanted to note that we actually are planning to stop our recording so that folks can speak freely and they don't need to feel like their comments are recorded. So if I could ask the team behind the scenes to stop the recording, and then I can explain the